Hello everyone, welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Randall King, sitting in this week for Roger Alcock. You know, we usually start with highlights and action from the Wildcat fields, and we like to talk a lot of sports. But a crucial piece in our athletic programs are the athletic trainers. They ensure our athletes stay safe. Well, March was National Athletic Trainer Appreciation Month, and our producer Silas Weghorst took a look at just how important that job is.
The athletic trainers at Indiana Wesleyan University work hand in hand with learning students to prevent injuries and provide compassionate care to student athletes. Sophomore Alexis Van Vliet realized the importance of getting involved with athletic training early on.
I actually started out exercise science, but I decided to move to athletic training because I knew it was really good clinical experience, and I'm a relationship-based type of person, so I really wanted to build those relationships before PT school.
Athletic trainers are part of a team of healthcare professionals working with the consultation of physicians. They treat injuries on site, and their professional training can help save lives. For senior Ethan Hancock, this goes beyond the work spectators see on the field.
There are several misconceptions of what athletic trainers do. People may think that they're like water boys or towel boys. They just sit on the sidelines and fulfill dietary or nutritional needs, which is important, but it's not the main focus. We are on the field in case of emergency if it was to arise.
We do a lot more treatment. We do rehabs during practice, before practice, outside of practice if needed. So it's forming more relationships, and it's treating athletes so they're eventually able to return to play.
The work of athletic trainers is crucial to the many sporting programs here on campus, and students being trained now will carry those skills into their future careers.
I think it gave me the necessary training in how to deliver appropriate care to athletes, and more specifically patients someday.
It makes me excited to work with more patients of different populations and to be able to go into physical therapy school with an advantage of already having my hands on patients.
With Wildcat Week, I'm Silas Weghorst.
Well, you see so many people behind the scenes to help the athletes perform well, and talk a little bit more about athletic training now with the director of the program, Dr. Adam Thompson. Welcome, Adam, to Wildcat Week. I think we see in the piece the conscientious effort of some of those students. We might also add this is an academic program where they're getting real-world experience. Tell us a little bit about some of the developments that have happened since you've been here and maybe prior to that that got us to this point.
Well, actually, this year is our 30th year of the program. So we celebrated our anniversary at homecoming last fall. And just enjoyed a lot of blessings and benefits of being at Indiana Wesleyan, where we have ample resources. It's a unique program in that in the NAI, there literally is not another school in the country that has 8 athletic trainers, 4 full-service athletic training clinics. And so we're very blessed. We have a lot of resources to give care to Wildcat athletes. But I've been here 20 of those years, and it's just been a kind of a nonstop roller coaster ride of things changing, getting better at sports when you add sports and add more facilities and staff. It's been really unique.
I know in broadcasting with the TV station, we kind of think of this as a teaching hospital sometimes, that students come here, learn communication, but they get to actually do it. Your students get to as well. What did it take to get to that level to where you could have those professionals to back them up, but also put them in meaningful situations where they are doing what they're learning?
Professional programs largely kind of dictate what needs to happen. And we have a lot of those programs here at Indiana Wesleyan. But essentially, they identify standards within a program that need to be met so that students can learn, but in a supportive environment. And as you saw in the clip, where a lot of our students are right there with a preceptor, and they're able to do and function in a professional manner, but kind of under guidance and a safe kind of learning environment. So it's been unique in that the students are challenged. They're working with live, real patients, our athletes, but they're still able to, if you will, make mistakes or learn through those mistakes in a capacity that won't hurt anybody. They can learn through it.
Certainly everyone who follows Wildcat sports could look at the last 15, 20 years and say, okay, national championships, expanding programs, new sports, and oh, by the way, 100 new players with football. What has that done for the athletic training program in parallel to that, to those sports growing?
It's been twofold. Our administration absolutely recognized the need for the support staff. And so former administrators and current administrators came to us and said, what will you need as far as people and facilities? That was one piece of it. The second part is it just added clinical options for our students to learn. And so we largely farmed our students out to local high schools or universities to get football experience because we didn't have that option. Now we have it right here on our doorstep. So that's provided some unique opportunities to add staff, add facilities, as well as add experiences.
This is going to be hard to do in 30 seconds, but take us a little bit inside the kind of pre and post game stuff. Everybody sees what trainers do during the game if there's an injury, but I would imagine more of the work is in between.
Yes, you're there hours before it happens and potentially an hour or so after it. There's a lot of preemptive care as well as in-game or in-event care. So it's healthcare nonstop, getting them ready, maintaining them, and then healing them, if you will, in a accelerated manner after the sport.
I saw the students there with a little bit of passion for this. Is it fun? Is it fun working along and see them sort of discover this field?
You're working with a patient who's young, ambitious, fit, and driven. And so having a patient population like that can be a lot of fun. And I always argue I have the best seats in the house. I'm right there on the sideline, right out of bounds, and I don't have to fight for that chair. It's mine.
Yeah, might even be better than what we have with the TV cameras. That's fantastic.
Maybe, we'll see.
Great program. Well, thanks for joining us today, Adam Thompson, and for the work you and the athletic training folks do. And when we come back, we'll talk to Coach Steve Babinski with IWU softball highlights. Welcome back to Wildcat Week. The Wildcat softball team took on the Cougars of Spring Arbor yesterday and were able to continue their winning streak at home. So joining us in the studio to give us a little insight on their magic touch is Coach Steve Babinski. I'm sure, like the baseball players and all of our spring sports, you'd say the magic touch was just being able to play.
You're not wrong.
We were so happy to get this game on TV, and we got some highlights in a moment. But what's it like as a coaching staff and for players to be frustrated by weather? It's common in Indiana. Some years it's worse than others, but you just haven't had that many games.
No, but we've been able to really speak life lessons into being flexible, controlling your controllables, the things that are out of your control, trust God to, and adjust. And so our game is a lot about adjusting. And so when weather can be another voice that we can kind of speak into that idea of having a good mindset and control what you can control.
Is home an important factor for your players, getting to play at home? I mean, I know the fan base may not be huge, especially when it's 45 degrees outside, but does that field mean something to them?
It really does. And we do get a good turnout, largely because our kids are quality kids, and they have a good reputation on campus with a lot of genuine relationships.
Well, you've amassed a good season already in spite of the weather issues. 23, what is it now, 25-8 or something?
I think so.
The head coach should know. But it's all about the conference now. Let's take a look at some of those highlights from the first game against Spring Arbor. We don't have both highlights from the doubleheader, but here's the first part. Right off the start, I think it was very, very clear you were getting what you wanted from your pitcher. Explain a little bit about what she brings to the game as far as strategy.
Mackenzie's a bulldog. She's small in stature, but huge in heart and competitiveness. She wants the ball every inning, and often, she'll will it.
We're already down to the bottom of the first inning. What I remembered in this part of the game is Spring Arbor made mistakes and you made them pay.
Absolutely. I think we scored 2 runs on 1 hit.
Is that aggressiveness or a little bit of coaching, managing in there that helps that too?
I definitely can't take the credit for it, but we want to be the most aggressive team on the field at all times, and that's on the base pass, hitting, and on defense.
Now we're back to McKenzie Ridge back on the plate, on the mound rather, and even when they got a little bad on the ball, it's all safely in the infield, and pitchers don't always get credit for those kinds of pitches either that just make people hit safely.
You're right. We teach less about strikeouts, more about hitting the non-$400 part of the bat, which is the end of the bat or the handle.
And we should point out, we're always talking about Worley and her offense, and I'm sure we'll see a home run from her later, but right there, the throw out from the catchers, from the catcher to the second base, that was almost on a rope.
Yeah, she's got a cannon. She has a lot of different skill sets.
Okay, so now we're seeing back in the bottom of the third inning, and this was a little bit of an explosion for offense. Now you're actually earning them, but also Spring Arbor's making mistakes here. Was that just a trend of the day?
Absolutely. When you're up in the game, it's easy to play aggressive, and then the other team, it gets out of there.
There's one of Rebecca Schrad's great throws from the shortstop position. She had 2 or 3 plays like that where I think she was just very, very quick on the scoop too.
Yeah, she's solid.
Back here with your bats, and here's another shot. Now this one, did she just beat the throw out, or was it just an error on their part?
It would have been a bang play. I think it was an error, but Lauren's one of the fastest girls I've ever coached, so she's instantly putting pressure on defenses.
Another shot there, and what happened there? I remember that play now. Did they just start to look for first and then forget that second? That she was there at second?
Yeah, we teach our runners on a ball hit in front of them when they're on second to wait it through, and Lauren was just being a little too aggressive and caught in no man's land.
A little bit of defense now here, and then back into the bottom of the 5th, and here comes Worley. No surprise there. She was just kind of waiting for the pitch, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's swinging with a lot of confidence, and she's somebody I'm glad I don't need to pitch to.
She got the 1 in this game, and we should point out just few games before she had a grand slam. So you did put a lot of players in scoring position from a variety of ways. Sometimes from their mistakes, sometimes from your bats. Coming back here in the bottom of the 5th, what's going on here? Now this is where you're starting to get some looseness in their defense and some shots.
That's right.
They came back, and this is one of their few hits of the day. A nice little shot there between left and center. But your players responded and didn't let it turn into any runs.
Yeah, it's a good hitting team. Last year there were 2 separate games where we had to come back from deficits, so it was neat to keep their hitters off rhythm.
Here again, another mistake. You're up 6-0, bottom of the 6th, and I just love the consistency you guys play with, even coming down the stretch here where it looked like you had it in hand. There's just no giving up on your players. Yeah, a good shot there.
Yep. And that's a good play by the shortstop, just nothing to do with the ball. And that ended up being
power going on there, and then we see how it comes out. Yep. So you did both of those with 8-0 shutouts, so both of those are called games. What has happened since that, as we're recording this on Thursday, that was Monday? Where are you now as far as the conference stands, and where are you now as far as catching up on those games that remain?
Sure. We ended up playing 1 game last night and took Grace with a win, and then we play our Grant County rivals Taylor tomorrow.
That will be, as you're watching this, that will be Friday, April 5th, yes. People are seeing the show at all different times. We record on Thursdays typically. That'll be Friday, April 5th. So if people want to see that Grant County matchup, they need to get right on it.
That's right. And Taylor hasn't played us or Marion, the two top teams in the conference. So it's going to be interesting after the weekend to kind of see where things land. So even though records are a little askew, it's fun to see when everyone has been able to play everyone and kind of see where the chips lie then.
Well, where do you see things shaping up now? Last year, as I recall, you get into the postseason, NAIA berth, as I recall. I don't remember exactly how it works. And as this Crossroads League is shaping up, as of Monday, you were in 4th, but those records don't mean that much because so many games have been postponed. How is this shaping up? Marion's still dominant up there at the top, and then some of the other teams that you're looking at.
Yeah, basically Marion, Taylor, and Indiana Wesleyan, dogfight right there. Mount Vernon, they have a better record, but they haven't played any of the 3 top teams. So, yeah, whether it's 4th place or anything, it's the winner of the league who gets an automatic berth, and then the winner of the conference tournament that gets a 2nd berth. If it's the same school, then whoever finishes 2nd in the tournament. And that's what we've done in the last few years to get to the Nationals.
I noticed in your starting lineup on Monday when we did the game on television, at least half your starters were freshmen or sophomores. So you've got a young team, and every coach says it doesn't matter how many you graduate, every team is different. What do you see so far this season from these folks? Do you spot any trends yet?
Absolutely. As a coaching staff, we understand we've got a lot of youth, but as long as we don't play young, we're fine.
What does that mean? Break it down for someone who doesn't understand the nuances. I mean, I understand softball, you hit the ball, but there's a lot we don't see that you do.
That's right. Playing young is being prepared before every play. Playing young means that you embrace the opportunity, and the situation never overshadows you. You're never playing without confidence. But also with that, you always, it's increasing in IQ, in knowledge, but also in execution. We could be oversized, but we could outplay the other team. We could be under-talented, but we can outplay the other team. And regardless of GPA or birth certificate when you were born, I've had All-American freshmen, and I've also had seniors that never figured it out. So it's less about age, more about learning the nuances and slowing the game down.
You got about 10 seconds. That sounds like a mental component and an emotional component, just seeing and playing in the situation.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so what
sir.
they say is just let the game come to you. Is that what you tell them?
Love it. Absolutely.
Well, I'm not going to be a coach, but thank you so much, Steve Babinski. It's great to watch him play. It was great to see him play on television. Softball will be back in action at home. That will be Friday night, April 5th, in a doubleheader against Taylor. The first game, as we said, will start at 4 p.m. and a lot more Crossroads League action to come. When we come back, Mikala Woodfork will bring us the breakdown, and we'll meet some players from the IWU baseball team. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Wildcat Week. Now we'll send it over to Mikala Woodfork with the breakdown.
Thanks, Randall. Well, softball gathered quite a few wins this week, 3 to be exact. They first had a doubleheader against Spring Arbor on April 2nd, and they won the first one in 6 innings, ending in a score of 8-0. And they won the second one in 5 innings, also ending in a score of 8-0. Then the next day, they faced Grace and won that game 4-0. The baseball team was 1-1 in their doubleheader against Spring Arbor. In the first game, they won 5-3, but Spring Arbor came back hard in the second game, causing a 17-6 loss for the Wildcats. The next day, they faced St. Francis and lost 7-3. Well, that's all I have for you this week on the breakdown. Back to you, Randall.
Thanks, Mikala. You know, earlier we saw the athletic trainers who work to keep all our athletes healthy for play. But now let's meet some of those players. Join us today from the IWU baseball teams, Caleb Eder and Collin Ledbetter. Welcome, gentlemen. It's good to see you here. Even be better to see you like we have a few times on the field at IWU. Did you ever feel like this season was worse than most with it being so wet that you're never going to get to play?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many home games? Do you guys have any clue anymore how many home games, Collin, that have been wiped out?
I'd say it's got to be at least 10.
Yeah, we've only played at home twice, 2 or 3 times, yeah.
Well, I know how frustrating that is. You just want to play. You want to play in your home field, home stands. Does it ever, you think, affect and wear down a team? Because you guys practice all year, you condition all year, and then this weather in Indiana won't let you do anything.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, I don't really mind playing. Wherever we play, but it's frustrating not to be home and not to have a home field advantage and have fans there to support you. So that's the frustrating part.
We got a little bit of video of, I think, some practice and a little bit here and there. We don't have a lot of home highlights yet because we haven't had a game we could put on TV, as you know. But Collin, what do you think you're seeing from this team with this kind of fits and starts kind of season so far? Are you starting to see any trends in what you have? I know you're fighting for 500, I think, right now. What's it looking like?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't started the ideal way that we would have hoped it would. But that being said, I mean, we're not out of it. I think there's a lot of talent on the team. I think we have the right guys in the room that can get us back to a national tournament. It's just going to be getting all the pieces to click. I mean, we've seen bright spots on the offense. We've seen bright spots on our pitching staff. It's just a matter of putting all those things together at the same time.
So we've got a little bit of video here. This is just kind of pieced together from some of our work we did with the athletic trainers earlier. Caleb, when you look at this season, is it at some point all about conference? Do you think that's what coaches and everyone wants you to focus? I mean, you got to have a good overall season, but really when you got down to the guts of the Crossroads League, this matters a lot.
Yeah, the Crossroads League matters more than any of the other games, but I mean, I hate putting precedence of games over one another, just because they're all so important. You learn so much from each game, no matter if you win or lose. But for sure, now that our non-conference season is basically over, the conference season is the most important thing, and it's probably the top priority for all of us right now, just winning as many conference games as we can.
I would imagine people need to check IWUWildcats.com to see schedule. Are you catching up a lot and picking up some of those postponed games?
Yeah, as the weather gets nicer, we're able to get on the field more consistently. We've got a couple midweek games thrown in there in the middle of our conference schedule, makeups from non-conference games that we didn't get in earlier in the year. So it gets pretty busy. We're going to be pretty much 4 or 5, even 6 games a week the rest of the way out.
There are baseball fans in town who would come just for baseball, even if they don't know you guys. What should they look for? What should they expect? I know we talked about a record, but maybe to some extent it's just all about crossroads action. You guys think your strength or defense? Are we going to have strengths in pitching? The bat's looking good. What will people see when they come to the field? A little bit of everything.
I think they'll see more offense than anything this far. Our pitching has been hit and miss the whole season, so if you come, I mean, more than likely you're going to see a lot of offense from us and from the other team. And if we throw out a 1 or 2 starter and then have a good day out of the bullpen, you'll see a lot of strikeouts on the other team too. I mean, our pitching is good when it's good, but it's been hit and miss this far. So,
is this a year in the crossroads particular where the best teams are hitting the ball well so far? Can you tell? High scores?
I'm
going to confess I haven't even seen some of the box scores to know, but
it seems like there's been a lot of offense. I don't know.
From everybody.
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it just has something to do with the weather. I mean, we've had a lot of windy days, blowing the ball out. Teams we've played, not to knock them, but defense hasn't seemed as solid as in years past. But I think that's a lot of credit to our offense and just the way that they've prepared and the way that they've been hitting the ball. It's fun to watch.
Do either of you have a preference, other than not playing in Indiana weather, but at least spring? But do you have a preference? Would you rather it be above 70, wind, rain? Does any of that stuff affect you?
I think you could ask any baseball player; they would want it to be above 70 degrees with the wind blowing out if you're a hitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, preference-wise, it's above 70, wind blowing out, preferably not any rain. That is the killer.
Yeah. Caleb, Collin, hang in there. You're going to finish a semester, but the baseball season goes on even past that, as you well know, so there's still a lot of chance. And we tell you again, check IWUWildcats.com for that schedule, because it does change dynamically, and they're going to be playing a lot of baseball in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Thank you, gentlemen.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, that's about all we have for you. Well, again, let's say baseball will be back in action at home on Friday, April 5th against Goshen. That game starts at 4 p.m. That's about all we have for you on this episode of Wildcat Week. If you'd like to see more from the show, you can visit our website, WIWUTV.com. That's where you see past episodes, and you connect with us online, WIWUTV.com. And to stay connected with all of our local programming and video clips, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's WIWU TV 51. We look forward to seeing you next week. For all of us here on this show, I'm Randall King. Thanks for watching.